you know this is how we're starting. Cheers. Hello, my name is Morgan and I like to talk about what I'm knitting on the internet. I come to you from just outside of Seattle, Washington, where I am a labor and delivery nurse. This is my podcast where I like to talk about what I have recently been knitting. This will be a traditional podcast episode. I don't have any finished projects today, but I do have a few whips that I'll chat about, and then some things that I've swatched for. And then at the end, I am going to insert some footage of my recap for Flock. If you're not sure what Flock is, it is a fiber festival that takes place in August in Seattle, which I attended over 3 days. I took a few classes and walked around the marketplace and picked up a few things, so I recorded a little segment when I got home from Flock that I will insert at the end. But yeah, let's get chatting. I hope that you are able to get some progress on whatever you're working on today. So my first work in progress is the Sailor Swift top by Veronica Lindberg or Kutovikika, which I am knitting in Knitting for Olive Merino held double. This is the color Dark Cognac. I can show you. Maybe. I'm holding this double. And then I am using my hand spun. This was spun up in fiber from Moondrake that I got from La Mercerie on Bainbridge Island. Here is my swatch. If you were here last time, I chatted a little bit about this one, so I'm just gonna give an update. I am almost finished. So since we last chatted, I didn't put in a stitch marker, so I don't know exactly where I was, but I have nearly finished. In fact, if I just hold it like this, it looks finished. I picked up stitches for the neckband and both of the arms, and I knitted the 5-stitch I-cords, which are just so pretty. I really enjoy the finished look of this, and I'm excited to block and see how they lie. They're curling in a little bit, but I think blocking will fix that. I ended up, let's see, I am knitting the size 2, and I do believe I dropped a needle size because I have to do that in almost everything I knit, but it's fitting perfectly. I'm following the pattern exactly, and I'm really excited to start wearing this. It is knitted in merino, so it's not a summer garment for me. This is going to be more of a fall wear, but I'm picturing it like underneath like sweaters and jackets and things, and I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of it. So all I have to do is finish the body, and then it's not a I-cord on the bottom of the body. It is actually a little bit of ribbing, and then I think I'm going to do a tubular bind off, but this is where we're at. I started this on July 27th, so I'm hoping to finish this in less than a month. Today is August 21st, so we'll see if that ends up happening, but I'm really enjoying this pattern. It's been super simple to follow. I've really loved the instructions. The pickup for the shoulders I'm really proud of. I think it looks really smooth, and I just love the way that the hand spun is working up with the merino. I'm really proud of this. So hopefully this will be a finished object in the next episode because it's almost done now. I was chatting last time actually about thinking that I had enough yarn, and ignorance is bliss. I did not have enough yarn. So I ended up picking up a couple more skeins from my local yarn shop, which is the Nifty Knitter in Issaquah. I picked up 2 more because they had 2 balls left in this color, and I felt like a jerk only buying 1 and then leaving 1 behind. So I am gonna have a little bit of yarn left over, but that's okay. I do see myself knitting with this color again. I really enjoy a neutral, especially a brown like this. Brown's kind of, that like browny green yellow is kind of my color, so I'm excited to finish this one up. Okay, my second work in progress is a project that you have not seen yet on the podcast. It is a test knit that I'm doing for Joey at Winter's Weather Knits. and it is for the Double Date cardigan. So she came out with a Double Date sweater and it's gorgeous. And when she posted her version of this Double Date cardigan, I immediately knew I needed to cast it on. So I started my test knit. I am knitting a size 2 and surprise, I had to go down a needle size after my swatch. My main color is, let me see, I think I have all of my labels here. Here's my swatch. So I swatched with 3.75 millimeter needles, which I believe is what the pattern calls for. And I am knitting on 3.5 millimeter needles. This main color is by Sorella. It is her classic DK base and it's in the color Givenchy. And it's a very nice dark navy. In some lights it looks black and I kind of wish it was black, but it's not. And that's okay. I'm really enjoying the way that these are all playing together. Let's see, my contrast colors, I will do them, I'll do them in order. My first contrast color is called Midsummer Night's Dream, and it's by Green Letter Day. This is actually a part of a blanket kit that I bought from this yarn dyer many, many years ago, and I never made the blanket that I bought the yarn for, so I have just kind of been dividing it up and using it in other projects, including this one. The second color I have is also from Green Letter Day. It's called Cider House. It's a really nice orange color. My third contrast color is from Witchfire Fibers. I believe this was from her Akatar collection and it's called I Am Not Afraid. It's just a really nice tan color. It's perfect. And then after reading through the pattern again, in my head, I miscalculated and I got nervous that I wasn't going to have enough contrast colors, which is so insane because I had full skeins of all of these colors. And in my size, for the size 2, it said I needed like just under 300 yards of yarn. And I was like, oh shoot, like all of these skeins, they're DK weight, they're 250 yards. I'm not going to have enough yarn. So I added in a 4th color. And then I was like, oh, I need a little less than 300 yards total. So I didn't have to add this color, but I'm glad I did because I really like the way that it's playing up. So this is from Woolberry Fiber Co. And this is the colorway for Good and Proper. And this is also on a DK base. Just like a really nice brown, as we said. I like neutrals, I like brown. Black is so hard to make in yarn that I feel like I have to do brown a lot. Anyways. So I cast it on, and this cardigan is really, really interesting because the construction is you cast on for the sleeve first, but it's worked flat and it's worked from like sleeve clef to the middle of the body, and then you do the other sleeve flat to the middle of the body, and then you join them in the back, pick up for the bottom ribbing and the button band. So the construction is really interesting, and it's actually flying by because of the striping that's in the project. Well, I will eventually show you, I promise. So it's working up a lot faster than I thought it would, especially being something that's knitted flat. So I have put in pins to make the sleeve round just so that it makes it a little easier trying on, but this is what I've got. So I started here at the cuff with that Givenchy colorway, and I'm doing stripes of each color. And I just finished actually the sleeve last night and I cast on stitches for the front and back panels. It's so pretty and it's giving Halloween vibes and I'm really into that. So I'm gonna this is the left sleeve I think, but I'm gonna fake try it on for you. So this is where we're at. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. It is working a little short, but I think that once I have more work on it, it'll sit a little bit more like this, and then with blocking it'll be the perfect length. I actually should probably go into the schematics and make sure that my sleeve is like per pattern long enough. The row gauge was more important than the stitch gauge. Let's look at my swatch again actually. The pattern gauge is 33 rows in stockinette stitch. And after blocking, I had 30 rows in 4 inches for stockinette stitch, so I dropped down a needle size, which should give me another row or two. Anyways, my row gauge might be off by 1 row. So I should measure and just make sure that this is gonna work out, but I'm really, really loving it. And I'm excited to keep working on it because again, it's working up really fast and I just love the way that the colors are playing. The stripes are so cool. They look almost like diamonds. I don't know if you can see that, but really, really excited about this. Again, this is the double date cardigan. The test knit is running through the middle of October, so I'm not sure when it's going to be released, but I will definitely let you guys know. And I'm really excited about this pattern. Okay, my last work in progress for today is my first August sock. I am knitting these up with yarn from the Frosted Stitch. This is her colorway called Damn It, inspired by Blink-182. I got this during the Yarn Warped tour, which was super, super cool. And I am knitting the DRK Everyday sock. This is my first toe-up sock, so this is my first sock. It's not finished, even though it's almost the end of August. I am, again, running behind, but can we just talk about how weird toe-up socks look? Also, the ribbing is all the way around the foot, and I've never done that before, so I'm gonna see how it feels walking around, but the fit is so nice. So I'm hoping that it doesn't bother me. So I did the whole foot, I worked the heel, and now I'm working the leg, but it just looks very silly. Also, it looks huge, but again, it's ribbing, so I've tried it on so many times and it does fit me pretty perfectly. So I am just working away on the leg. I think I have 30 rows done on the leg. I'll probably do, I don't know, like 60, 75, I don't know. We're just gonna kind of see how it feels, but I'm really loving the way that the yarn is working up. This is just a like all around 2x2 ribbed sock, and the pattern was so easy to follow. Andrea Mowry includes video tutorials from her YouTube channel that were super easy to follow. I did my first, what cast on was that? Turkish cast on? Actually, that wasn't my first Turkish cast on because I used her video for another project. But anyways, all of her instructions are easy to follow, and where they're a little tricky or there are new techniques, she includes video tutorials, which was super nice. So hopefully I'll finish this sock. I have my advanced cardiac life support this weekend and I'm gonna bring this with me to stitch on. So hopefully I can get the leg finished on Saturday and then start the foot on Sunday in class of the second sock. But we'll see what happens. I don't want to get behind again because I just got caught up, but life, you know? I started my last quarter of grad school this week, so I feel like I haven't had that much knitting time, but we do what we can. I'll also share with you, but this is not exciting or thrilling. I knit these all the time. I'm knitting another mini seasons sweater by Ozetta. This is in the smallest size, and I am again using Lion Brand's woolies, which is what I knit basically all of them in. I've knit this pattern several times. I have so many Ravelry projects on my Ravelry page that I will link, but I just really love this pattern. It's so cute and it's pretty easy to memorize. It's pretty mindless at this point and it works up quickly because it's worsted weight, but I do really, really love this, and I'm excited to hopefully finish it up soon so I can give it to the intended parent before she has the baby, but no promises. Okay, you guys, that is all for my works in progress. There was only a few, but I've made a lot of progress on all of them, so that's cool. I think that I'm hoping I'll have a couple finished before the next episode, but I also wanted to share with you because I have done a lot of swatching recently. The first one, I chatted a little bit about this yarn in the last episode. It's by Explorer Knits and Fibers. It is their Linen DK in the color Muckross, and I am dying to cast this on. I finally knit up a swatch, and thanks to a wonderful comment left by a viewer in my last episode, I remembered the Sadie sweater by Ozetta, so I swatched for that project. I still need to block the swatch and measure it, but I am going to cast that on next. One of the classes that I took during Flock, which again will be in a later segment, but the instructor talked about knitting up your swatch before you finish the current project you're working. So like before I finish my Sailor Swift, I knitted this swatch. That way when I finish my Sailor Swift, I can just cast on my next project instead of having to go through the dreaded gauge swatch. So it created a little bit of a reprieve from the Sailor Swift top, and now I'll be ready to cast on once I block this after I finish that top. So I just thought I would share that tip with you because I love it. Last episode I shared my woes with this yarn, which is Pasquale Nepal. And my intention was to knit the Soul Top by Mochi Knits with it, but I cannot even remember how many times I gauged for this project on different needle types, and I just couldn't get a fabric that I liked. So this is my last attempt. And this was dropping like, I think 4 or 5 needle sizes. So I have abandoned this yarn for now. I'm either going to resell it, or honestly I'm probably gonna destash it because I just don't love it and I don't know what I would knit with it. So, but there's good news because the Wandering Flock came out with their new sport weight organic cotton silk alpaca linen. So anyways, I don't remember what this is called, but it's 35% organic cotton, 30% mulberry silk, 20% linen, and 15% baby alpaca. It's a sport weight, 328 yards, and I got the color burnt sienna, which is perfect, which is exactly what I was envisioning for the Soul Top for myself. So I cast on a gauge swatch, and again I'm having such a hard time meeting gauge. This is needle sizes 3 and 4 that I've swatched with, and it's still too big. So I am going to drop down 1 more needle size, and I'm just going to cast on the Soul Top in probably 1 size up and just go with it. If I have to frog, I have to frog, but I am so sick and tired of gauge swatching for this project. Maybe I should be looking for a different pattern. I don't know. There's a lot of similar ones. The Vacation Vest by Park and Knit is one of them. And Perfectly Knotted has one as well. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I cannot get gauge swatch. I cannot get correct gauge for this project. So I either am just a horrifically loose knitter, or the pattern writer is a like super tight knitter in combination with me being a loose knitter. Maybe that's the case, but I can't swatch anymore, you guys. So I'm just going to throw caution to the wind and cast on with the next size down and a size up in the pattern. Will I regret it? Let me know what you think, but hopefully not. Other patterns on my mind right now are the Rib Lace Raglan by James & Watt, which I think uses 1 or 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn, and it's like a lacy, like super open mesh top that I think would work up quickly and also be nice in this like kind of transition weather. It's 90 degrees today, but it's supposed to be cooling down. Also, I just found this pattern from Johanna Garish. It's called the Electrine Sweater, and I cannot get it out of my brain. Cannot. Look at the lace on those sleeves. Like, are you joking? And I picture this in like the deepest black that yarn can possibly be. Oh, it would just be so spooky and moody, and it's making me consider a knit along. So it doesn't have to be for this pattern. I also am planning on knitting up some Halloween socks this year. So I wanted to like gauge interest in a spooky knit along. I'm thinking it would probably start like mid-September or October 1st, and we can just do like a month-long spooky knit along. If that's something that you'd be interested in, let me know. This makes me nervous because I don't feel like anyone would be interested in joining. So let me know if that's something that's interesting to you, and I may record a video that's like pattern ideas, pattern inspiration for this knit along, because there's a ton out there, and I think it would be really fun to knit something spooky with you guys. Again, I'm planning on making some baddie socks, and I do have some black mohair that I could cast on for this and just make it like a gothic, like spiderwebby feeling. And then let me show you the socks that I'm planning on making this year, because I would probably cast them both on for the knit along. These are called I'm Baddie for Halloween, and they are of course by Stone Knits. And they're so cute! So I got some yarn at Flock for that orange. And then I have a few different colors, or a few different skeins of like varying black yarn. So I have the yarn in stash for this already. And I really want to make these. I am nervous about all around or all over colorwork socks, but they're so spooky cute. I think I need them. So that is all I have for you today. A short podcast portion of this episode, but if you are interested in a spooky knit along to kick off fall, let me know. Maybe we could start it on the first day of fall. September, is that September 21st? September 22nd. So maybe we could cast on September 22nd. Let me see if I work that day. I don't. And I don't work that way, and it's a Ravens game day. And we could cast on together. You guys, this seems like fate. If you're interested, please let me know. Thank you so much for joining. If this was your first time or your 14th time, this is episode 14. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. If you are interested in hearing a little Flock Fiber Festival recap, including the classes I went to, and some of the things that I picked up, stay tuned because that's coming up next. And if not, I will see you in the next episode. Happy knitting. Okay. Hi. I genuinely tried to record a Flock week vlog where I took you around like my whole week, and I was doing it. I was vlogging on Flock week, and then Flock itself came, and I realized that I am just not a vlogger. I'm not someone who like wants to take my camera around in public and record things where like other people can see me doing that. So I am just a podcaster, and I'm okay with that. That's what I learned this weekend. So I am here to chat about Flock. I took 3 classes and I learned so much, and I wanted to chat about those classes and then share with you some of the things that I bought. I am not one who's going to like hold up every single item that I purchased, but there are some yarn dyers that I want to shout out, and a few different like fiber places that I got fiber from that I want to shout out. Brands that I haven't really bought from in the past. So I wanted to do that. I am in my comfy clothes because I'm like back and forth between tanning in the backyard and doing crafty things today, and I really want to reorganize this room, but I can't do that until I film this. So here we are. This is my Flock recap. Okay, day 1 of Flock was just classes, and I took 2 classes. The first one was called Fiber to Finished Object, Intentional Choices in Spinning Yarn, and it was with Tashi Gordon, and that class was probably a little bit over my head as a beginning spinner, but I learned so much from them. I like can't even fully process everything that they taught me in that class, but I highly recommend. I heard that this is the first time that they've ever taught classes, and if they are teaching a class at a festival that you're at, take it. They know so much about spinning. They know so much about fiber, about fleece. Highly recommend. So I feel like when I learned how to spin at the Intro to Spinning classes that I took at La Mercerie in March, I learned just what I needed to know to learn to spin, which was perfect. It was perfect for me. It was not too much information. I learned how to do the thing, and now I'm ready to deep dive. I want to know how the different fibers feel. I want to figure out what I really like to spin, and I want to spin a sweater's quantity. And so I'm really glad that I took this class with Tashi, because they broke everything down about, you know, different types of fleece or different types of fibers, fine wool versus medium wool versus long wool. I had no idea. Like, you can tell that there's differences in fleeces just by the way that they feel. A merino feels way softer than an Icelandic sheep, but learning why that was the case, I'm like, I learned so much from them. Micron counts, grist, like all of these different things that I'm going to take with me. And one of the big takeaways was, just as it's important to swatch with your swatch your knitting before you cast on a project, it's so important to sample your spinning and swatch with those samples before you really dive into a large project for spinning. I have not always been perfect with gauge swatching, but I do think that that's something that I've tried to focus on recently, and I've been able to create finished objects that actually fit me from that. And so it was really cool to see, or really interesting to hear Tashi explain the importance of sampling and then knitting with your samples. So that is something that I will definitely be doing. I currently have like an actually pretty big spin going right now. I got some raw wool from Warm Valley Orchard on Orcas Island, and it's a roving, it's a comb top. I'm not sure exactly what sheep it is. I am trying to look into it so that I can figure it out, but I have 8 ounces of it, and I'm spinning it and hoping to make my first 3 ply. And so far it's going really great. It's a little neppy, but I think that that's just what happens when it's not like mass produced, right? It's not made in a mill, like commercial grade mill. It's like people doing these things by hand with like a drum carter or what have you. So I'm really enjoying that, and I wish I knew what sheep it was, so I'm going to look into that. But anyways, in the class they brought up several different resources, and I was able to find 2 of those books at Flock actually. The first one is the Fleece and Fiber source book, which I already had peeked into because, you guys, I nearly bought my first fleece at Flock, and I talked myself off a ledge for 2 days straight because there was a booth called something Rose. They have a sheep farm on Whidbey Island, and they were these like gorgeous long black and brown locks, and it was so dreamy. And the sheep were Wensleydale, and I had no idea what that means. So I was able to look in this book and I found them. Okay, so I found the Wensleydale sheep in this book, which was super cool. I was able to read a little bit about them, and there was nothing like wrong with that breed of sheep, but I cannot invest in a fleece right now because that's just chaotic. It was sold in like an 8 or 9 pound bag, and I would have to like figure out how to like process fleece, and that is definitely a rabbit hole that I'm going to be jumping into at some point in my life, but I need to be responsible, and that's not what I need to do right now. So I did not get the raw fleece, but I got this book, and then I also got the Field Guide to Fleece, which I've heard a lot of people, or a lot of spinners at the show were telling me that they like keep this in their spinning bag and they like reference it super often. It's a really good like quick guide to the different types of sheep. So I see myself using this a lot, and I'm excited to actually know what's happening with the fibers that I'm spinning. So these were great resources to pick up, and I'm so glad that Tashi recommended them, and I'm glad that I found them at Flock. The second class that I took was from Susan from Calypso Farm, and it was called Spinning in Color, Multiple Ways to Approach Spinning Hand-Dyed Braids. And she gave us 2 braids. This is my second one. She gave us 2 braids, And with the first one, she had us break it down into quarters, and we spun each quarter differently. So I will show you what we did. So this first one, we simply took the quarter of the fiber, broke that further in half, and spun each half as it was and plied together. So this is my little tiny baby skein, and this is the spin as it is. And it was cool. This is like what I've been doing. I haven't like done any other type of spinning method before, like breaking down the braids. So this is what I had been doing previously. The second one I was very nervous about because it's not really something I'm interested in, and she had us spin the second quarter of the yarn or the fiber into a single. And it's hard for me because I am like a super high cadence spinner, and I just want to like, I'm like running to the races trying to like spin away. And so it was really hard for me to slow down, like have a steady cadence, because you don't want too much twist in a single. But I eventually did it. It's super thick and thin, but I did it. And I probably won't ever do it again if I'm being honest, because I just didn't really enjoy it. But that was that one, spin a single. And then the third one was a fractal spin. So we took the third quarter, broke it in half, and spun one half just end to end. And then the other half we broke into like as many tiny little pieces. So it creates, one ply has like longer stripes of color, and then the other half has like short, rapid changes in color. And so that is what that looked like. And I did really enjoy this. And then the last quarter we did a parallel draft. So we took the quarter, broke it in half, flipped one end so that you were drafting the first end, like the top end and the bottom half together basically. So you're blending colors really well, and you can see how well these colors blended. You can't see any of the variegation really. It just looks super like muddy and foresty and honestly delicious. So I really enjoyed that. So this class was really cool. It taught me more about what I'm looking for in spinning with color, and you can buy braids like this with colors that you're maybe not so interested in. Like, there's no pink in this, so these are actually like not bad. There's like a little piece of pink in there that I will likely try to hide, but like how to break this down and make it into a skein that you want. So my plan is to practice with this one as well. I'm going to split it into half and spin one half fractal and spin the other parallel and just kind of see what comes of it. But that was also a really fun class. It was really cool to bring my wheel and like spin alongside others and see what wheels other people had and how they were spinning, and it was just a really fun one. The third class I took was Fiber Deep Dive with Megan Monroe, and she also was a new instructor, and I highly recommend her class. This was a class that was kind of geared towards beginners, in terms like knitting beginners who are like going into a local yarn shop for the first time and like what to look for in a yarn. So worsted versus woolen spun, superwash versus non-superwash, those kinds of things. But she really broke down fibers, like cotton versus linen versus wool versus goat, and it was so fascinating. It was so fascinating. And we walked away with these cards, these little binders of cards, where she had samples of a bunch of different kinds of fibers and like blended fibers, and so we can see what they feel like to remember by, and so that was really cool. This binder system is something that I will definitely adopt from her. I think it's great for stuff like this, but also I could make these are just index cards that are hole punched with like slits in them to wrap the yarn around. And I could make these for my spinning samples. So I could do a single, like on one note card, I could do single ply, 2-ply, 3-ply, and keep them in a binder to reference later. So I will be adopting this. She actually gave away extra binders, so I have one more. And then I also thought it would be really cute way to keep gauge swatches, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna end up doing that, but that was a really cool tip. This class was just really cool to hear the breakdown of the different types of sheep. She was telling us she's like a professional like wool grader. That's not exactly the name of it. I just can't remember what it is, but she like goes to mills and like helps them select the finest wools to sell, and or like the finest pieces of their fleeces to sell, which was also super fascinating. I had no idea that that was a job. But yeah, it was cool. She also had probably 50 sweaters laid out on the tables, like labeled with what types of fibers that they were knit with, which was really cool to see, like a non-superwash colorwork sweater versus a superwash colorwork sweater and how they hold up. And I learned a ton about different fiber types, and I'm really glad that I took this class. Now that I've yapped about classes for 14 minutes, let's talk about the things that I grabbed. This is not going to be a like full haul. Let me show you all of the skeins I got. Let me show you all the braids I got, because that's just like not, everyone is at a different place. Everyone's budgets are different, and I don't want to make anyone feel like they bought more than me, or oh, she got to buy so much. Like, I'm not here to make anyone feel any type of way. So I do want to shout out a few spots that I purchased from that I've been looking for a long time. So Thread and Maple makes like leather knitting like accessory holders, and I got this black, obviously, interchangeable needle set holder from Thread and Maple, and it pops open and look how pretty it is. So these are my Chiagu red laces. I just popped them in here, and then in the zipper pocket I have all of my cords, and it's just like such a clean, pretty way to keep your needles. Did I need this? Absolutely not. The case that Chiagu's come in is perfectly fine, but it's not my vibe, and I really like this, and I've been looking at Thread and Maple. They also make binders, and this actually can go into the binder and like become a page of the binder, but I just don't see that that's a need for me, at least right now. So I love that you're able to also use this individually as a interchangeable needle holder. Let's talk about fiber, because I grabbed some fiber that I'm really excited about. In Tashi's class, they talked about like recommending that you try like a sampler, try spinning different types of breeds and just kind of see what you like, fine, medium, long, like just figure out what you like. So I found this sampler from 316 Dye Studio, and it comes with Blueface, Leicester, Galway, Masham, Shropshire, and Welsh, and I'm really excited to spin these up and just see how these fibers feel. They're 1 ounce samples each, which is perfect, so I'll spin it. Okay, so what I'll probably do is spin it as a single and do a ply-back test and just kind of like see how it feels in a 2-ply and a 3-ply, and then make a sample that's probably a 2-ply and knit up the sample. That's probably what I'll do with these. I also got one from Kira WXYZ, and these are the fibers that are in there. I mostly got this because I've been really wanting to see Jacob, to spin Jacob, but this is Romney, Rainbow, Finn, Swaledale, Herdwick, and Jacob, and these are all different ones that were in the first one, so this gives me a really good place to start. Also in Tashi's class, I do short forward. I spin short forward, which I think I'm actually like kind of transitioning into like more of a long forward, if we're being honest, unsupported, but we'll get there. They recommended to practice long draw on Rolags. So I found these Rolags from Kira WXYZ as well. They're hand-carded Rolags, and this is the colorway Wonderful. And I just thought they were really pretty, and I want to practice long draw, and if Tashi says that this is the best way, I listen to them. So that's why I got those. A fiber that I didn't splurge on this, like it wasn't expensive by any means, but it's like so deliciously soft, and I don't think that this is the type of fiber that is good for like a sweater quantity, but I was curious about it. So this is from Skagit Woolen. Skagit Woolen Works, I think is what they're called. And they're local. This is a 60% alpaca, 30% targi, and 10% silk mix. And it's just like so gorgeous. I could not stop. I would go to their booth, I would look at it, I would come to this fiber and I would say, it's so soft. Like it's, no, it's fine. I don't need it. I would walk around, I'd come back, and I would do this like several times. I probably went up to this booth like 11 times yesterday, and then I finally was just like, I'm gonna get one. It's 2 ounces. It's a good way to practice these like very soft wools. Alpaca silk, very soft, and I think very easy to spin. So I don't know like what I'm gonna do with it, but it's a good like practice skein. So it is what it is. I'm excited. My last 2 fiber things, I got some braids. This one is from Sincere, and I knew that I wanted this braid before I even got to flock. This is from Sincere Fiber Co., and the colorway is called Fear. This is targi, 100% targi. It is 4 ounces, and it's just like moody and dark and delicious. She spun this recently, and I saw on her Instagram stories what it looked like, and it was gorgeous. So I will definitely be spinning this probably into like a 2-ply. And then I also got fiber from Witchfire, who I have known and loved for a very long time. I have gotten their yarn before. I've sample knit for her before. And when she first put this fiber up on her website, I resisted with every fiber in my being and I didn't buy any. And then I saw it in person at Flock and I was like, well, obviously I'm gonna buy it. This is a sign. So this is her Deep Forest blend. It's 67% Cormo, 17% silk, 16% brown baby alpaca, and it's 4 ounces. And this is the color Witchwood. And it's gorgeous. There's like these black little flecky parts. It's just so pretty. So I got 3 of these. I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna spin with them, but I feel like 3 might be enough to spin and then knit like a slipover or a vest with. So if that is able to happen, I'd be pumped. Let's talk about yarn. I actually really did not buy very much yarn. I bought yarn from 3 different booths. One of them I knew I was gonna buy assorted quantities from, and then a couple others that I just really enjoyed. So also from Sincere Fiber Co., I got their Dreamy Gray Yak Fingering, 60% superwash merino, 20% gray yak, and 20% silk, and this colorway is called Thrill of the Hunt. And it was just moody and dark, and I really enjoyed this. And I think it would be fun to knit with the yak in it. I've never knitted anything with yak in it, I don't think, so I snagged this. And then all weekend, okay, that's dramatic. All day on Saturday, I was looking for the perfect true black. I'm talking pitch black, blacker than my soul. And it's so hard to find a truly black yarn. It's either like a charcoal gray, or there's a blue tint to it, or a green tint to it, or a purple tint to it. And I need it to be black. Do you hear me? Okay. I was looking for it for a friend. I found it. I grabbed it for her. And then on Sunday I went back and I was like, I need black yarn for myself, obviously. I went to that same booth and they didn't have it. But I remembered that's not true. A lot of the yarn companies or yarn indie dyers that I follow are moody indie dyers. And so I opened Instagram and guess who popped up? Crow and Crescent Yarn Co., obviously. And I remembered, oh, they have the blackest of the black yarns. So I got their Callisto sock base, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and this colorway is Void. And it's actually black. I'm going to pair this with an orange that I have from Explore Knits and Fibers to make some baddie socks this Halloween. I'm really pumped. The last thing I want to share is I knew the moment I saw the Flock lineup that I wanted to go back to Yarn Nouveau. I loved their yarn last year. I've knitted with their yarn. I've loved it. And so I went back. And I had seen, actually I'll start with this one. I'd seen this color online and my jaw hit the floor. It's the perfect green and it has like a little bit of like a black halo. So this is called Astoria and it was new for Flock. This is their twist sock base. It's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. It's 400 yards. And so I got two. My plan is either the rib lace raglan by James & Watts or the mini mock neck by Jessie May, I think. But something like kind of summery, even though this is wool. I've talked about this before, but wool tank tops I will definitely wear in the fall also. So I'm really excited to dive into this. And then I walked up to the booth and I was immediately drawn to this color. And this was on Saturday. I was with my friend and my friend was like, that's your color. And I was like, I know, but it's brown and I have so many browns. I have so many browns. And I was like, I came for Astoria. Like I wanted Astoria. And I didn't end up getting Astoria until Sunday because I fell in love with this yarn. And this is their color Blackthorn and it's on their merino sport base. And oh my gosh, I hope that this captures it. It's stunning. So I got their merino sport base, which is 100% superwash merino. It's a 3-ply, but I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera, but there is this like black halo to it. And it's just so pretty. So my plan for this is to knit the Come Back Again by Andrea Mowry, who I love and is the queen. This I probably will knit. I'm currently test knitting a cardigan, which you will have seen in the podcast, but this will be very shortly after because this yarn is so pretty. I cannot get over it. Ooh, it's so pretty. Anyways, that just about wraps it up for what I wanted to chat about with Flock, but I did get some little tags from Making Treasures that say made with my hand spun, and okay, I know they're pink. They only came in pink. They only came in pink, okay? And it's a tag, it's gonna be inside, no one's ever gonna know that I'm wearing pink. But they were just so cute, look, made with my hand spun. So I'm gonna put one on my Sailor Swift, don't get it twisted. I'm gonna put it in my Sailor Swift top when it's finished. But that's it for my Flock recap. It was a great time. I was blown away by like more than one person coming up to me and saying that they like enjoyed and watched my podcast. The first day, which class was it? I think it was after Tashi's class. A really sweet gal named Erica came up to me and talked to me about my podcast and how I'm a labor and delivery nurse, and I was kind of blown away. I wasn't expecting that. So Erica, if you're seeing this, I'm really sorry if I was awkward. I am very much an introvert and I wasn't really expecting anyone to come up to me. And then a couple more people came up to me Saturday, Sunday. Michael from Peace for Police came up to me a couple times. We had some good chats. So it was really fun to feel like I maybe like have some people in this community. I've felt for a long time. You know, I went to Flock last year by myself. This year I did bring a friend on Saturday, which was fun, but I also like was by myself Friday and Sunday. And so it's feeling like maybe next year I'll like have people to hang out with and have a community with. So that was really cool to see. So thank you to everyone who came up and said hi, even if it was just a quick like, hey, I love your podcast. That was really refreshing to hear, and I can't wait for next year. Back to the podcast.